Hey guys, Godfather of Anxiety here. For my latest video, I wanted to give you guys 6 ways that you can tell that your physical symptoms may be caused by anxiety or an anxiety spectrum condition. I think this video is important to make because very often, at least I can say in my case, the symptoms when I started getting them, even though externally I was under stress, I did not see a specific or direct correlation between the two, and that delayed me getting the help that I needed right from the beginning. So I think this is an important video to make because, again, I've talked about ad nauseum the physical symptoms that are caused by being stuck in fight or flight, all right? So that, I think it's just a natural lead from that or into this is, how do I tell the difference between, things that are maybe caused by an illness, whether it be serious or not serious, or things that are caused by anxiety or an anxiety condition. So I'll get right into this. The first way that you may be able to tell that your symptoms are caused by anxiety is, are you in anxious situations when they occur? This seems simplistic, but it's not as simplistic as you would imagine. Certain things we know would cause anxiety, right? If someone said, hey, let's go skydiving, and we're scared of heights, well, we'd know right away that was raising our anxiety. But some of these are more subtle. Maybe there's a day that you go to your in-laws and that causes anxiety, right? Maybe, I'm not trying to play into stereotypes here, but maybe that elevates your anxiety. So all of a sudden you notice, and this is something I can go back to as a little kid. I remember my dad always got headaches when it was time to visit his mother-in-law. I don't know if this was coincidence or if it was stress related, but sometimes there is a direct trigger, and it isn't necessarily as huge of a thing as something where you would expect, you're being chased by a bear and this is where you got to know your triggers, right? You got to know what elevates your stress, whether it be something like public speaking, crowds, in my case, one of the big things is driving, right? Especially when I have my family with me. If you notice that your physical symptoms are occurring in direct conjunction with triggers, with things that elevate your stress, there's a good chance that anxiety or an anxiety condition is a large reason, if not fully responsible for the symptom. Next, do they fluctuate? So if we have something that is a pathological process that is happening with our bodies, whether it be, let's get right into some of our big fears here with anxiety, a brain tumor or some other degenerative condition, something where, it's a one-way street and generally not a very good one, right? Things of that nature, not that their symptoms don't ever fluctuate, but generally they tend, even if they fluctuate, they do tend to get worse, right? Even if you run through the course of a virus or something, you'll get definitive symptoms, and you might be able to distract yourself with, a movie or a book or whatever, but it's still going to be there. Your head's still going to be stuffy. You're still going to have a headache. You're still going to have a fever. You're going to have aches and pains. And, but if you notice these things fluctuate to the point where they basically go away completely, that's a good indication that, this could be being caused by anxiety. If they fluctuate widely and then completely dissipate or go away, that's it's not definitive, and none of these things that I'm going to tell you, by the way, are definitive. And I probably should have prefaced the video by saying, obviously, it's going to be my my fifth point. Go see your doctor if you're nervous at all about any physical symptom. That should be your first thing that you do, just to make sure. It's always good. But so anyways, getting that out of the way, if they wildly fluctuate and go away completely, there's a good sign. That's a good sign that they may be being caused by anxiety disorder. Next up, what is your state of mind when the symptoms occur? In other words, are you anxious when the symptoms occur? And, in what comes first? So what would be normal would be, you get physical symptoms, they persist, and then you start to get a little anxious. That would be something even a neurotypical person, depending on the symptom, right, might be nervous about. That might be when they start to get nervous. If they persist for a long period of time and they're pretty severe, then, that could raise anybody's anxiety. Instead, do we notice that our state of mind is anxious, and now, oh my gosh, I have a physical symptom to go along with it. That is an indication that anxiety may indeed be the cause of the physical symptom. So there's another one. My fourth way to tell that it might be being caused by anxiety is, have they started to occur, whatever these physical symptoms are? Maybe it's digestive issues, right? It felt like my esophagus and stomach were on fire when I first started having panic attacks, and I had a host of GI issues. But when the symptoms started, were you going through major life changes? This is important because, and I don't think it's talked about enough, and major life changes are different for different people. But I'm going to give you guys some examples of things that may be a cause that may help you to be able to discern that it's anxiety rather than a physical cause of your symptoms. And so anyways, these major life changes, they can include things like, maybe I know one thing that definitely was part of the stress ball, the package of stress that I went through that preceded my panic attacks, was my oldest daughter starting school. This was a big thing for me. I was, I probably have sheltered all my kids a little bit too much, but just sending away a 5-year-old that you've invested all this time and love in, and now for 7 or 8 hours, she's completely, left in the care of others. That was a big one for me. Obviously, guys, death of a loved one, somebody close to us, or even if they weren't that close to us, somebody that helped us to identify, was a part of our identity. Siblings are especially, if we've been raised with other, with siblings, losing a sibling can be especially traumatic because they gave us some equilibrium and helped us, really obtain an identity as we developed. It's without getting into a deep dive on, the social structures of families and how they affect, how they can affect us. That's a really big one. So if you've lost a sibling or any loved one, that's a major life change. Have you changed jobs? Have you lost a job? What about your financial situation? Has it changed quite a bit? Moving. Did you move? Another one. This is more subtle, but I'm telling you, I've seen this with a lot of people who have anxiety disorder. Are you turning a certain age? Quote unquote milestone age, right? 30. It could be 30, which is still so young, right? But 30, 40, that can be a big one. 50. Let me tell you, 50 was no fun for me. So those things, did the symptoms come on right around something like that? That could be an indication that, again, it's an anxiety disorder or a general state of anxiety in our state of mind that's causing the physical symptoms. The fifth way to tell is the most obvious, right? Have you had yourself checked out by your doctor physically? Have they run tests? Are all of these tests coming back negative? You know, you're worried, maybe even convinced that you have either a heart condition or you have a brain tumor, or you have something terrible wrong with your digestive system. And maybe you have either an endoscopy or colonoscopy, or you have ultrasounds, you have CAT scans, a CAT scan of your head, everything, but everything is coming back clear. Everything looks good. All of the blood work looks good. Guys, there's a really strong chance at that point that it's anxiety that's causing your physical symptoms. That is, and I suggest anybody who has the financial ability or, good health insurance, the right thing to do when you're starting to get a variety of symptoms, and these symptoms are real, and they can be very frightening, right? Even to a neurotypical person. If you have the means, go to the doctor and get checked out from head to toe. It will be worth it. Even if you have to spend a few thousand, it'll be worth it if you have anxiety, because otherwise there's a strong chance that you're going to develop health anxiety, and health anxiety is a nightmare. You're going to start perseverating on every little, twitch, every little change in appetite, every little tiny physical thing you're going to notice, and you are going to be convinced constantly that you're on your way out. And a few $1,000s might seem like a lot of money, but if it can give you the confidence and get you to fully buy in that what's causing your symptoms is anxiety and being stuck in fight or flight, it'll be worth it, because that is one of the major components when you're stuck in fight or flight. To keep this and turn this into an actual anxiety spectrum condition that needs to be treated is going to be that thought process that, there's something wrong. I know there's something wrong. Yeah, they just didn't find it. I know there's... No, you don't want to go down that road. Trust me. I lived through that, and it is, if I could go back and do it all over again, that wouldn't have happened that way. And then finally, are you obsessing over your symptoms? So a neurotypical person, right? Somebody who doesn't have an anxiety condition, they're going to, let's play the game. Let's say they have stomach pain and it's persistent and it's not going away. Well, they'd make an appointment with their doctor. They'd get the stomach pain checked out. They'd have tests run. And if the doctor didn't find anything, they would, maybe they'd be a little relieved and they just go on with their life, right? If you have anxiety disorder, you'll obsess about it. First, you'll be nervous to make an appointment with your doctor because you just know something horrible is going on. Then after you have the tests, you're going to dread the phone call, although you won't be able to move on with your life until you get it from the doctor that's going to confirm what you already know, that, you've got cancer spread throughout your body and you're on your way out, right? Okay, if you're thinking like this and you're obsessing about it and you can't stop thinking about it and your symptoms, because what's normal is to have a symptom. It might even raise your anxiety some. More so, it's just going to be bothersome, whether it's stomach pain, a headache, chest pain, whatever can be caused by anxiety. All of those things can be caused by anxiety. But a normal person, a person who's neurotypical, they're going to feel the pain, maybe make an appointment, get it checked out. And then if the doctor says everything looks okay, they'll just say, well, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to they're not going to obsess about it. So it's an entirely different mindset. If you notice that you're obsessing about your symptoms, like, boy, why is that doing that? You know, I used to obsess, guys, I used to obsess because my heart used to race. When I first started having panic attacks, and I was, you know, right before I had panic attacks, I was riding my bike probably 50 miles a week, something like that. I was lifting weights. You know, my body weight wasn't in a great place, but it's not like I was obese or anything like that. But I was exercising like crazy. And I remember right after I had my first panic attack, you know, I wanted to get back to normal. That's absolutely, I can definitively tell you guys I wanted to get back to normal. So I went to the gym. And I remember I just did a light set of barbell curls, actually dumbbell curls, excuse me. And it felt like my heart was going to burst out of my chest. So I just, you know, I took my watch and I timed my heartbeats. And sure enough, my heart rate was about 230 beats per minute. Now, I stopped right there because, you know, having somewhat of a background with exercise, and first of all, it's impressive when your heart can get up to that heart rate, right? Because a lot of people, if your heart's not healthy, you're not going to get it way over 200, trust me, even as a young man. But it also is not healthy to stay in that range for any length of time. So that was very concerning to me. And you know, so I immediately stopped my workout. But what's normal? So say that happened to a neurotypical person, they would have gone, made an appointment with their doctor, had their heart checked, get an EKG. Maybe if you're a little more worried something's wrong, have some more tests done. Things would come back normal, and you'd move on with your life. Say, well, I don't know why, but my heart was. But when you have anxiety disorder, you just keep obsessing about it. And you're like, oh, there has to be something. And then that's the other thing, you know, you end up catastrophizing. But so if you obsess or catastrophize about a symptom and you just know it's the word, trust me, it's about 99.9 that your symptoms are primarily caused by anxiety disorder. So to put a bow on this, though, I want to reemphasize, if you're having physical symptoms, get them checked out by a doctor, right? Number one. Number two, a lot of the time, and this is an important thing to know about physical symptoms from anxiety, and I've touched on this in other videos, but a lot of the time, it can be a real underlying physiological health issue that is minor in nature. It could be something as simple as allergies, as it was in my case. But if you are at an elevated state of anxiety when these things start occurring, it is fertile ground to really develop and exacerbate anxiety spectrum conditions. So there can be a physiological trigger that's, you know, just fairly small in nature. Allergies, acid reflux disease, you know, that tends to really, that disease starts to really affect us around the age of 30. So, you know, there's a lot of things like that can happen. And so it can be a little of both. But these 6 things that I gave you are going to give you a good indication that you're probably not dying, and that these symptoms are probably caused, or at least greatly worsened, by anxiety. Because our nervous systems, when we get really anxious, fight or flight type anxious, our nervous systems, if we're stuck in that condition for long enough, our nervous systems are going to become hypersensitive. They just are. You know, that fight or flight mechanism is intended for life or death situations, and it's amazing. It's an amazing natural, thing that occurs to keep us alive. But when your body's stuck in that way, that's can be very, cause a lot of symptoms, cause a lot of issues, and we were never intended to be stuck in the state of fight or flight. So that's about all I wanted to say with this video. Thanks so much for the engagement. Everything's going very well with the channel, and I appreciate that. Guys, make sure if you have a loved one or you know somebody who's suffering from anxiety spectrum conditions, or you might suspect that they are because you've noticed some changes that seem kind of, unlike them, and you think that maybe they're either anxious or depressed clinically, have them look at the channel. The main thing is to get people to the point where they know what's going on and they know they're not alone. If they know what's going on, they can go to a mental health professional, seek treatment, and get better. And if they know they're not alone, especially with something like depression, that can really help too, because a lot of the time these mental health conditions make us feel like there's something, really wrong with us as a person. Of course, that's not the case. This is physiology. This is heredity. This is all the things that cause other diseases, other conditions. It's just we won the lottery here, and we get to enjoy these wonderful anxiety spectrum conditions and clinical depression. So thanks so much. And guys, until my next video, take care.